All right, we are back with episode 9 of the OBB podcast. My co-host Khalil is out today, so we replaced him with Anthony Riley. He's been a guest a few times, maybe 2 times, I think.
I was a guest on episode 3, and then I
Popped in the last
episode 7,
episode.
I think.
All right, perfect. So just like normal, we're about to run right into it. With our first topic I think yesterday. Clippers won Game 7 against the Mavs. Big game. I mean, it was kind of it was a blowout for the most part. You got any takes on that?
Yeah, I mean, not that I expected it. In the beginning, I thought the Clippers were going to kind of win the series and most likely win the West. But the way with Luka playing, I don't know, kind of got me not nervous, but just thinking like, man, maybe the Mavs are a dark horse. But, Kawhi and even PG close it out. And
yeah, Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi had huge games. Game 3, 4, and I believe 6 and 7, or 5 and 7.
Game 6, you had 45, right?
Yeah, 45.
Yesterday, what was it? It was
28, 13, and 8 or something. But it was really efficient. It was like really easy for him. And Paul George, he was struggling to find his shot for the most part, but he was like playing big and like playing inside really well. So he held his own, proved like he's not playoff P anymore. He's actually a decent player in the playoffs, and he got other people going early. I think he had 5 assists in the first quarter. He ended with like 9 or 8. Yeah. Like good. He played really well towards the end of the series, which was big for them. If they have that, I believe they could go far in the West. Maybe even try the East. One of the things that I took away from Game 7 that was pretty much mind blowing to me. I texted our group chat during the game. The Mavs played a zone defense.
Yeah,
pretty much the whole game. You can't win playing a zone defense against an NBA team, in my opinion. I don't see why that was even a choice there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the only place that zone defense really works is in high school.
Yeah.
And if you're Syracuse in college basketball, but when you go to the NBA, you have to play man-to-man. If you run a zone, everyone can shoot the ball.
Everybody can shoot, and the zone they were playing, they were kind of trying a matchup zone type shit, but the guys are too big. Once they got to the middle, there's no chance. So Carlisle made a mistake there. I mean, I thought they might have a chance Game 7, but you can't win that game playing zone defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think you can play zone in the NBA and win very much.
Yeah, not at all. That kind of opened up the run. I think it was a 24-2 run, and that was all she wrote. Kawhi, we were just saying, this series pretty dominant. The games that they lost, not as dominant, so it was kind of shaky. Khalil and I had a conversation the other day. Like, I kind of disagreed, but his take was we don't talk about Kawhi enough because he's not like earning it, and he's not as big. I would say, I said it the other day, still top 5 in my opinion, still one of the better players in the league.
I think he's definitely top 5. I think when injuries, I won't say plagued him, but hurt him a little bit the past couple of years. But when he is completely healthy, I'd probably put him in the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, 45. The way he was scoring was so easy, and he's not like gonna put up like scoring numbers like 50, 45. But like he just said we're not losing the series.
He did that on the road in a closeout game.
Yeah, unbelievable. So Kawhi proved to me that he's ready. I think Paul George proved that he's not going to choke again. I mean, it's always possible because now they're going to play Utah where it all started with his playoff P nickname and his choking. To me, I think they proved that they could take the series against the Jazz. I don't know if they will per se, but I think it's going to be a really good series.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will definitely come down to Paul George's play. I mean, if what he said about the bubble was true, I think he'll be fine. I think what he averaged 21 last series. So, I mean, if he plays well, I think the Clippers will win. If he doesn't, then the Jazz will win. But I think it'll come down to him. I think Kawhi will perform how he's been performing.
Mm-hmm. One big name I have, Game 7, he played great for them. Marcus Morris, he had somewhat 22 points or something, but maybe a little more. I mean, if they could have a guy like Marcus Morris putting up not even like 18 a game, with Paul George playing all right and Kawhi dominating, Reggie Jackson hitting some threes, They're gonna be all right.
Yeah. I mean, every team needs a third guy. I mean, with basically every playoff team now, they got two main players. You saw that, but when there isn't a third guy, that's when teams start to struggle because every team has two stars or superstars.
That's why I think the struggle came in OKC with the Westbrook Paul George because there was never really that.
There was never a third
guy. Even with Westbrook and KD when Harden left, there was always. They never had a damn shooting guard. Like Deion Waiters was their shooting guard, and he was like starter. Roberson was never a scorer. I mean, the third guy was Ibaka, and I mean, you know. All right, so on to the next. Yesterday again, Hawks took a big game one on the road. Pretty much dominated the whole game, but at the end, I mean, they looked like, as I thought it would look. Sixers were easily the better team at the end. But I got to give them, they did win a big game one, and that's all you got to do. You got to take one on the road and then protect your home court. Trae Young balled out. Do you think that this is an issue for the Sixers? I personally don't really think it is. I mean, they should have won the game, but.
I mean, in my opinion, I think that the Sixers do not have the right guy on Trae Young. They had Danny Green on him the whole time, and they have, the top 3 candidate for Defensive Player of the Year on the team. And he was guarding, I think, primarily guarding Kevin Huerter during the game. I think they definitely have to switch that. If they don't, Trae Young will be, putting up the points that he was putting up.
By the way, for everyone listening, he was talking about Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
I thought they would put him originally on Trae Young too. I mean, 6'9" against a small guard, 6'9" who can move and he's lengthy. I think I don't know why that wasn't the matchup.
Yeah.
But I think they'll fix that because Trae Young was just
he was getting whatever he wanted.
Yeah, 35 and 10, I believe. But yeah, they definitely should fix that in my opinion. One name to actually that really was like, okay, the Sixers are fine. Embiid had 39.
Yeah.
On a slightly torn meniscus. He looked fine. I mean, the leg could always, get re-injured. Not even the knee, because now that he has the knee, that same leg, maybe a hammy or a groin. But if he's there, maybe the Hawks get one more game. I don't see anything else.
I was saying, I don't really think the Sixers are in trouble.
No, not at all. I would look for more Tobias Harris, though, because these big games, he kind of just –
He played great in the first series, too.
Yeah. But I think he should be, without a doubt, 23 plus every game for them because he's their second best scorer behind Embiid. And Simmons, you can't ask for him to score. He's just not a scorer.
Yeah.
But all in all, that game, to me, big for the Hawks, not a huge loss for the Sixers.
I don't really think it's that big of a deal for them. I don't really think they sweat over it. It's just game one, the Hawks came in with the momentum, winning that series against the Knicks. And in my opinion, I think if the Sixers don't win 4 straight, the Hawks maybe steal one more at home. Yeah. But I think this series will probably be over in 5 or 6 games.
You brought up the Hawks' momentum coming in from the Knicks series. So they ran it up for the first 3 quarters, and then the Sixers just completely took over that momentum. Me and Khalil were right after the game, we were saying Hawks take big game one for them, but the Sixers, I think we think the Sixers have the momentum. After that 4th quarter, it was they'll win every other game by 15 plus.
I think they definitely will. I mean, looking at that quarter, they lose by 7 points, 7 points.
Yeah.
Being down by, I think it was 30 at one point.
It was close to it, if not.
So, yeah, I think realistically, if they, change the matchups a little bit, get the bias going, Joel's going to put up the numbers that he always puts up.
He just needs to stay healthy, and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
They have no answer for Embiid at all.
They won't.
And then guys like Danny Green and Seth Curry should just have their little moments during the series because they're probably going to try to collapse on Embiid, and all of a sudden Tobias and everyone else is going to get going. So looking forward to game 2. We both agree that Sixers will take game 2 and most likely 6 or 5 or 6.
Yeah.
No 7.
No.
All right, moving on. Brooklyn dominated. Well, they won by 7 or 8, but it was pretty much an easy win for Brooklyn in game 1 against Milwaukee, and Harden got hurt in the first minute of the game. That's kind of scary for the rest of the East. Harden didn't even play the whole game, and
Yeah, I mean, even without Harden, you still have arguably the two best scorers on your team playing for you. Yep. So, I mean, without him, I still think they're gonna. I predicted they were gonna sweep the Bucks with Harden, and I still think that. Really, even if he stays out, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna have a problem. I think. Did they come out with the injury report for him?
Yeah. So right now it's pretty much day to day.
Is it just a pulled hamstring?
Yeah, but the hammy could always even if you think it's ready, it could always just react. Yeah. So I don't know if they're gonna play him this series. I don't think it would be smart to if they go up 2-0. I don't think he'll play at all in this series. But one big name that stepped up was Blake Griffin. 18 points, 14 rebounds in game 1 after Harden went down. Been waiting for that since he's been on the team. He's been putting up nothing pretty much for them, but.
Yeah, he played really well. And I think that if Harden's going to be out, I don't think that will be a problem. But if he's out for the remainder of the playoffs, he's going to have to be the third guy to step up for them because once you get to what we predict the Sixers, I don't think, that's going to be the guy that's going to have to probably guard Joel Embiid.
I don't know who was going to guard that. They're going to have to score a lot of points to beat the Sixers every game because that's actually a good matchup. I would love to see that series. Not Harden. Giannis put up 34 and whatever, how many rebounds, probably 11 rebounds I think it was, and a couple of assists. Pretty efficient. It wasn't a tough scoring day for him.
Yeah, just regular numbers.
Middleton had 13 points, 13 rebounds, but I think he was 6 of 23 from the field. And Middleton's normally a pretty good player for them.
Yep.
Pretty efficient too. And then Holiday had 17 on 7 of 19, which is also not great for them. If those two guys aren't stepping up, they're not going to even come close to winning the series or giving Brooklyn a run for their money because Giannis can play as well as he wants. It's those other two, in my opinion, that have to play really good defense and they have to be really efficient on offense. They got to hit threes too, a lot of threes to keep scoring with them because it's going to be – without them too, it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, I think that, you're going to get the same thing with Giannis, like Joel. There's not really anyone on the Nets that are able to guard him. And I think realistically, points-wise, Giannis and KD will probably just, cancel each other out. And then they're going to need that second and third guy to be able to score the ball because, Kyrie's going to put up the numbers. If Harden comes back, he's going to put up the numbers. So, yeah, if they keep shooting the ball like that, they are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they're going to have to really turn around in game 2 because if they play like that, that's a sweep in my opinion. I originally thought even with Harden that Milwaukee could take this 6 just because of their matchups. We've talked about it on the podcast a few times. Giannis, KD, they'll cancel out.
Yeah.
And then it's up for Holiday and Middleton to guard Harden and Kyrie and also try to not match because Harden and Kyrie are offensive masterminds, but just try to 20 apiece on efficient 20 points with Giannis having his 30, whatever. Then I thought it could get kind of interesting if they wanted to. If it's close in the fourth quarter, last 2 minutes, anything can happen.
You never know.
So but the whole series is based around those two guys from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Even without Harden. Looking forward to game 2. In your opinion, what's going on in game 2?
I think it's going to be a little bit of the same.
Same thing.
I think Nets are going to take it, and I do think the Nets are going to take the series in 4.
So what I'm looking for in game 2 is I look for Milwaukee to start fast. I think this is just what I'm thinking right now. I think Milwaukee's going to start fast. They just need to be able to carry it throughout the whole game because without Harden, the Nets not last game, but the Nets tend to have not great first quarters. So if they fall down 6 points in the first quarter, 8 points, then there's a game because then Milwaukee's defense can come in and maybe we'll be looking at 1-1. I don't know. Just one last thought, actually. I just came to my mind. We were talking about Embiid and Giannis against the Nets. Will probably, if the Nets beat Milwaukee, he'll probably dominate by himself, not the team-wise, but himself. Even Brook Lopez had 19 points. And, it's 19 points, but for Brook Lopez to be having 19, there's a few holes that maybe Milwaukee's going to try something different on offense, and maybe it creates easier shots for Middleton and easier shots for Holiday. But So I'm thinking 1-1. You're thinking 2-0?
You're thinking 1-1? Yeah, I'm thinking 2. I agree with what you said with them, like the Nets possibly starting slow just because Harden's there.
Well, if it's 1-1, they're going to have to start slow. Because if they start fast, Milwaukee's not going to catch up.
But I think it's going to be a little bit of the same.
Okay, so this series that we're about to talk about is.
Can't wait for this series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be watching probably every game of this series. Nuggets at Suns game 1, which is tonight. There's really good matchups in this series. To start, just my expectation for the series, I think it's going to be more of like a series where it just keeps bouncing back and forth, and I have no idea who I could choose. A couple of days ago, I said Nuggets in 7 because me and Khalil got into a nice argument. But I can still see the Nuggets winning if Jokic dominates. But for game 1 tonight, probably the Suns come out fast at home and shoot the 3-ball well, and then Jokic can't keep up. But I don't know. It's going to be really good games every game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the series against the Lakers, man, Devin Booker.
Yeah, I mean, if he carries it over too.
I mean, if he scores the ball like he's been scoring and Chris Paul, does his thing, I mean, just going off of those two guards, they're going to dominate the guard play. And I think that's going to be a big part of the series. I mean, Jokic versus Ayton, obviously that's an intriguing matchup, but I think Jokic is just way too crafty and creative that I think he's going to do his regular, 25.
Maybe more.
13 and 8.
10 or whatever. There's also a couple other matchups. You brought up Devin Booker. I don't know who they plan to put on Devin Booker.
Maybe Rivers.
Could be Rivers, but then what are you going to have? Campazzo or Monte Morris on Chris Paul? They're too small for him. And Chris Paul's not a big guy, but when he has small guards on him, he just shoots over them every time.
That's why I think the Suns, guard game is going to dominate the series.
But then I think the Nuggets have good matchups in their 3 and 4 with Porter and Aaron Gordon. Crowder's going to take one. Bridges will take the other, but I think Aaron Gordon's a big guy. He's just been playing more wingish for the Nuggets, but if they want to, I don't think Bridges could take Gordon in the post at all. And you're not going to win straight off post play, but then that causes openings for the shooters. And if Austin Rivers wants to put up 20, just a couple games of series, this series could be very interesting. I don't know.
It could get extremely interesting.
And another thing is, Chris Paul looked really good in Game 6 against the Lakers, and he's had some time off, but that shoulder still can be messed up.
Yeah, could be. I don't know, Chris Paul does a very good job taking care of his body, doing all the right thing. I think he's going to be fine. And he's a dog, so he gets in there and he wants to win. I
want to see the bench play, too, because Cameron Payne's been
playing unbelievable. He played unbelievable against the Lakers. He's so crafty and quick.
But then, the Nuggets have Monte Morris off the bench who's been playing. I mean, he had 28, 22 in the final 2 games of the Portland series. But then Denver's bench after that kind of levels out. The Suns bench, they have Payne. I think, does Cameron Johnson start? I think it's Paul, Booker, Bridges, Crowder, Ayton.
Or does Crowder come off the bench?
Or maybe Crowder comes off the bench. That might be interesting. If Crowder comes off the bench, then I think they should look for Porter right away.
Yeah.
I don't know, it could go either way.
Really could.
I think that Ayton versus Jokic is really big.
I mean, if Ayton plays the way he played in Game 1 against the Lakers when he shut down Anthony Davis.
Oh, man.
I was just so interested. But they're all, Jokic is such a different player compared to Anthony Davis. He dominates in so many different aspects. I think it's going to be hard for Ayton to keep up.
We were talking about the other day, this series, I mean, if Chris Paul's healthy, nobody's guarding him. Devin Booker's not getting guarded.
Nobody can guard. I don't think nobody's going to be able to guard Devin Booker.
But for some reason, Dame, they let Dame, well, they didn't let him, but Dame went crazy that whole last series against Denver. And then their other guards didn't really do much. Khalil disagreed with me, but, I mean, and they didn't have a big to stop Jokic, which Ayton is more of a problem than I think Nurkic. I would say so. But for some reason, CJ never got going on Portland. Norman Powell never really got going. So if Chris Paul is the one guard, or Devin Booker's the one guard, maybe they could stop the other. I don't know. This series is gonna be stupid.
I mean, you could have said that for last series too against the Lakers. If they stopped one, they would have stopped the other. But
no, but I'm saying that Denver did do that, and now they're playing Denver.
Okay. Yeah,
so it kind of, I mean, all right, I got two takes. If they could do that, Nuggets in 7. If they can't do that, Suns in 6.
No, Suns in 6.
5. Because then if Chris Paul's like, if he's there, he's. I can't watch Campazzo or Monte. The matchups are going to be really interesting to see what Mike Malone does. Because against Portland, he just let Dame ISO. What'd you say?
You think they throw a zone out there?
I hope not. I really hope not. Because then it's L's. But Mike Malone, Denver's head coach, he let Dame ISO, which was really stupid to me. They didn't even like hedge the screen or try to trap off the screens.
Yeah.
He was just like, yeah, we're just gonna let Dame. It's got to make some type of adjustments like in the series, like game to game, because. See, now I'm crossing my head because on the other side, if Jokic wants to dominate inside, then it's a whole nother story. Like guard play versus big man play, guard play, and nowadays NBA wins for the most part, but didn't win last series, so shit.
I think if the Nuggets are going to win, like you said, they got to shut down one of the guards. And what I saw the second half for the Lakers-Suns game 6, they started throwing doubles at Devin Booker. And
finally,
they just threw Chris Paul's guys because he's not a 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And they made a little bit of a run.
Booker's still doing his thing, but they slowed it down. They brought the shot clock down, made them kind of panic a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they start doing that, like frequently during the series, I think the Suns could be in trouble.
And the Suns were also playing pretty fast against the Lakers.
Yeah.
Jokic kind of slows the pace down, and he controlled it for the most part in the Portland series, the games they won anyway.
Yeah, I think.
So that could be really big for them.
I mean, on both sides, there's two players that have great pacing and change the pace of the game at any time. Chris Paul and Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will say a lot about the series, but
this is a really tough series. I would say these first two games are really big for Denver. Because if the Suns go up 2-0 at home, you might as well just the series is over. I don't care. I mean, I don't think Denver would take 2 in a row against this team. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting series. I'm excited for Game 1. Yeah,
Game 1's going to be really, really interesting. I mean, these two Western Conference series are really good matchups. Yeah. So with the Clippers Jazz, we have, freaking hate Ingles, but he gave Paul George everything in the series when he was on OKC. I don't see anyone. I don't know if they go Kawhi at Donovan or Paul George on Donovan Mitchell. I think Conley's out. That's kind of big.
Is he out?
I believe so. I'm gonna check that right now. But I think the Clippers have the upper hand in matchups again against Utah.
I think the Clippers definitely have the upper hand. I think if the Clippers play the way they're supposed to play,
yeah, but they don't. Like they did in the series against Dallas 4 times, but then they didn't 3 times.
I mean, if they do that, they're the team to beat in the West.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, they got the 2 biggest stars in the West right now. But, so Conley's day-to-day, so I believe he's going to be out, but we'll see.
Okay.
That's interesting. Utah's actually favored in that game. Might have to look into that.
It's definitely going to be interesting. Both of these series are so intriguing. I mean, I think in the Eastern Conference, I think Brooklyn's just going to roll through the East.
They should. I hate how – I wanted to see Brooklyn with their big 3 try to, run through everybody. They still might.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probable that they will, but I really wanted to see that big 3. I hope he's back if they make the finals and – whatever Western Conference team, any of these I want to see the matchups. I mean, these matchups are so fire. I can't. Every series, I am gonna watch every game. Maybe not Nets Bucks though. If the Nets take Game 2 tonight, maybe I'll slow it down a little bit. All right, so now we have a little segment for Ant, just because you only co-host when you can. So. We were just talking about all these playoff series, and the two games tonight are Brooklyn and Milwaukee, and then the night game is Phoenix and Denver. So I'll start off. You were saying how they're going to cancel out the whole series. Better game tonight, Giannis or KD in Brooklyn?
I mean, if you really want my opinion, I don't like Giannis. Not that I don't hate him, but I just don't think he's that good. This is going to start controversy. Maybe I'll put a poll up on the Instagram later, but I'm actually with you. I just think the matchup in this series he's too dominant. Yeah, he's extremely dominant. He's just he's not a polished basketball player.
No, not at all.
And for that reason, I think, I mean, in this matchup, you're going up against arguably the best scorer in the history of the league.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely have Kevin Durant. I think he's also going to come up big if Harden's not playing, just to make sure that they get the win.
I want to see KD have like a real Kevin Durant fuck you game, bro. Like when he does that, it's like, oh, this guy's easily the best player in the league. But then sometimes he's kind of fade. But I mean, I'm not knocking him. He's definitely, I think he's the best player in the NBA right now because LeBron's sliding to me. But
LeBron,
I would probably say,
for me this year, Steph is my number one.
I mean, you could argue. Anyone could argue that.
Yeah.
I just think. Well, like if you're saying like during the season, yeah, he was the best player.
During the season, just like in general, I think Steph Curry is the best basketball player in the world. I think LeBron sadly is on his decline. Yeah. I think everything's catching up to him. You never know.
Maybe that's what he wants us to think, though, and then just next year he's winning a championship again. Yeah. For me, for tonight's game, I'm going to say Giannis because I actually do think Milwaukee – I actually think Milwaukee's going to take this game.
You do?
I do. So I'm going to just say Giannis, and I'm going to hope that KD has just a bad shooting night, and that's how they win the game.
I mean, again, just because Giannis is so dominant, there's not really anyone that can guard him on that team.
Yeah.
But I just think –
So next, we're just going to stay in this game. It's not really the matchup. I'm just who has the better game tonight, Kyrie or Middleton? Kyrie. I'm going to say Kyrie too. But if I can make a case, if KD is playing well, then the one Kyrie could be the one that's not shooting well. And Middleton had a really bad game one. So maybe he looks to bounce back. And he has games where he could drop 34 on very efficient numbers.
I just think Kevin Durant and Kyrie complement each other so well.
No, they really do.
And with the Nets scoring the ball so well, I think that both of them are going to have a great game. And like any given day, both of those guys can give you 40 points each. Yeah. And so I just think that especially if KD is playing well and shooting the ball really well, the focus is going to go to him. Mm-hmm. That's going to leave Kyrie open for open threes and being able to penetrate the inside. He's a great finisher inside. So,
one more staying with this game internally: Middleton or Holiday. Better game tonight.
I'm gonna say Middleton.
I think it has to be Middleton, scoring wise. But Holiday, I'd like to see him in transition off his defense.
Yeah.
I think Holiday should have 18. He had 17 last game, but of 7-19. I think he should have 18, a decent 18. Not great shooting, but good enough to try to make them win tonight.
Both of those guys have to play well if they even want a shot.
Yeah. All right, so this, again, not the matchup, but probably the two biggest names in tonight's game, your boy Devin Booker or Jokic.
This one is hard.
It is tough
because
you know what you're getting from Jokic. Even if you stop him, you still know you're getting 20
but then,
plus.
Like Devin Booker can go off for 50. So it's such a difficult thing, and just like with the matchup, I don't think there's anyone on the Nuggets that can really guard Devin Booker.
No.
Unless they start throwing double teams. And I don't think they're going to do that game one. I think they're going to just feel it out.
They're going to have to feel it out. Yep.
But for me, game one, especially coming off of that 47-point game, I have Booker playing better. And that's not a knock on Jokic. I still think he's going to put up close to, if not a triple-double. But for me, I think Booker's going to have a really big night scoring-wise.
I'm gonna say Jokic just because I know what I'm getting. Devin Booker can be streaky at times, even though last series he was a little off on the road, the game 3, and maybe a little in game 4, and just because Jokic doesn't shoot, like Booker has to shoot the ball pretty much to get his points. Jokic could just lay it in or dunk it, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say Jokic just for the safe bet, but if Booker goes for 50, I'm gonna look like an idiot. I'm just gonna say Jokic. That's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you know what you're getting with him, but it's just so tough.
And then one final one for the night game, Chris Paul. I mean, this is a relatively like weird question, but the names just the matchup, Chris Paul or Porter Jr. tonight. Because I'm not going to jump in front of you, but I need Porter Jr. If you're the Nuggets, I need Porter Jr. to have 25.
To Porter Jr. when he at some points during the season he can score the ball at will,
and then he kind of fans out after like he has games like game 4 in Portland, I think it was, of the first series, he had 3 points.
Yeah, just with the matchup of Jokic and Ayton, Jokic spreads out the floor so much that Ayton will be forced to go outside, giving Michael Porter Jr. like a lot of room in the middle to work. You know, he has a really good mid-range shot. His three-point shot is good. It's also just like so hard because Chris Paul, we don't really know who's going to guard him.
Yeah. Oh shit! I couldn't tell you who's going to guard him. Yeah, I think they're going to try to throw like just as many guys on Booker and Paul. Like they'll start with one and then they'll do another in the second quarter and then go back and then another guy. I don't know.
It's just so hard. Yeah. I'm gonna say Chris Paul though.
And when I'm saying better here, if Porter played better, he's gonna have to score 25 because he doesn't do much of anything else.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pick.
But Chris Paul could have 13, 10, and 8 and just completely just outplay him. Like I'm not saying stats wise, just like better.
I'm gonna go with Chris Paul just based on the matchup and what you said. Like in order for Michael Porter Jr. to play better, he has to put the ball in the basket a lot of times tonight.
All right, so we got one final question, not of a better game. The NBA has been pretty stagnant with the teams and the players who have made the finals in the last 11 years now, except this year. So this season, it's kind of nice. Besides Brooklyn, if they weren't there, it'd be even better. But it's kind of nice to not really know who's going to win which series. Like the Western Conference series are going to be great, even though you could think like one has the advantage. They're going to be great series. And if Brooklyn was with no Harden, then they'd probably still win. But LeBron and Steph, this is the first finals that they have not, or one of them has not played in since a certain year. And do you know what that year was?
What year it was? 2010.
And what was the matchup?
The matchup for that? Wasn't it Lakers? It was Lakers Magic, right?
Yeah, the first one.
Celtics?
Lakers Celtics.
Okay.
LeBron James or Steph Curry, or both at the same time, have been in every NBA Finals since. 2011 was Miami. 2012 was Miami LeBron. 2013, 2014. And then 2015 was Curry and LeBron. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. Last year, LeBron with the Lakers. And now finally, we have some type of interesting NBA final. I mean, most of them have been good. Curry versus LeBron were great. Well, for the most part, before KD came in, but I feel like it's just good for the NBA to have this.
I think it's really good for the NBA. And then another stat that I saw was this is going to be the first NBA final since 1998.
Oh yeah,
that hasn't included the Lakers, Spurs, Heat, or Warriors.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for the NBA.
It's new. I mean,
it's definitely something that people are going to have to get used to because I think, like I said before, I think it's the end of – it's like LeBron's on – I think he's on his decline. I think maybe has 2 or 3 more years. And then
Possibly.
Everyone's getting old. I think the new generation is really starting to step in. Like guys like Luka, Kawhi's going to be here for a little bit longer. Giannis.
KD's still here. Kyrie's still here.
Yeah.
But there's the new guys, not even the guys who made the playoffs per se. I mean, I don't want to say new, but like just young guys they're creating like a new era of basketball, which some people don't like. You could see it sometimes where it's like, okay, we need to get back to some type of old fashioned NBA style basketball. But I mean, the league I would say it's really this is probably one of the most exciting years that there's been.
Yeah.
I mean, before the year started, I wouldn't have said that the Lakers were first round exit. I probably would have put them in the finals or the conference finals against. Originally, I said the Clippers or Utah, and Khalil might actually owe me money. I have that. No, it might have been Yave. I have a video on my phone. I said Clippers or Utah will make it out of the West
this season.
I can't wait. Oh yeah, $100 too.
But yeah, I think that it's definitely the new generation stepping in. And I think these next 5 or 6 years we're going to see a lot more new champions.
Oh yeah, it should be all over the place. I mean, hopefully just that one damn team's in the way, Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't think they'll be there I think that team together with all three will be 2 or 3 years max.
I mean, I think if they stick together, like you said, those 3 years, but I think like even then I don't really see any team, unless there's a big offseason for a team, dominating a conference.
No, I mean, Utah played really well in the regular season, but it's completely like I can't tell you straight up that Utah's running the West.
Yeah.
And Phoenix looks really good, but I can't tell you they're running the what. All these Western Conference teams, a lot of these Eastern Conference teams too. I mean, except the Knicks, they're terrible. But it's fun to watch, and I'm pretty happy about it. And I think it's really good for just entertainment, and it's really good just for the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big LeBron guy.
R.I.P.
Been following my whole life, but like you were saying, it's kind of refreshing for him not to be there.
Yeah, and for people who aren't big LeBron guys, pretty refreshing for them too.
Yeah,
because
it's so fun to watch these new guys stepping up and playing big in big moments, and it's really showing that the NBA is in good hands.
Yep. All right, so that's gonna do it for episode 9. I appreciate you coming in, stepping in for the role of Khalil.
It's been a pleasure.
Been very fun topics today. Huge games tonight. New video out tomorrow. Monday through Friday we do it. And any final words?
No, nothing much. But again, it's been a pleasure to be on here. Hope to get a couple more. I'm not going to be sitting in this chair, but
I'll definitely be on again.
A couple more appearances before I head back to school for the summer. And yeah, exciting.
All right, so we appreciate y'all. Like the video on YouTube when it gets up there. Tell your friends. OBB podcast. We out. Peace out. Thank you.